What's up everyone, it's your friendly neighborhood real estate agent coming at you from the Mile High City. So I've been living in Denver now for the past 3 years or so, and I gotta say there's a lot to love about Denver. But as with any city, there are drawbacks as well. And that's why today I'm excited to share with you the pros and cons of living in Denver. And I probably know what you're thinking, oh great, another boring real estate video. But trust me, this is gonna be more fun than a barrel of monkeys. Or maybe just as fun as hiking a 14er with a dog that smells every single rock along the trail. So we'll cover everything from the great outdoors to the not so great traffic, from the awesome food to the not so great crowds. And of course, we'll talk about the housing market, which is probably why you're here. So whether you're considering moving to Denver or you're already here and just want to commiserate with me on how hard it is to find parking in Lodo on a Saturday night, let's just grab a drink and let's talk about the pros and cons of living in Denver. So let's start with the first and foremost. I think snow is the first pro that we should go into. The biggest pro about the snow is that the snow season is here. We can go out to the mountains and enjoy ourselves with snowboarding, skiing, or whatever cool sports you want to go into. And what's great about it too is that the city of Denver often looks like a Hallmark card. You got the snow-capped mountains in the background, you got the snow on top of the roofs of all the houses in the neighborhoods, and also the evergreen trees all around. And something I really like about the snow is that the snow dampens the sound and it just sounds so much more tranquil and peaceful. It dampens like the ambient sound from cars driving around or people talking. It just feels like you're in solitude, and it feels like you're just by yourself in this winter wonderland. And like I said earlier, there's a whole bunch of resorts for you to enjoy. If you're a skier and snowboarder, I think there's around a dozen resorts for you to enjoy, all within an hour and a half of Denver. And if you plan on going to the resorts approximately 8 times or more out of the year, you should definitely look into getting an Epic Pass or an Ikon Pass. These passes are almost like season passes for those resorts. And there are some key differences between the Epic Pass and the Ikon Pass, especially with the 2023 and 24 season coming up. So you should definitely look into it, especially since now it's on sale for the next winter season, but there are some key differences between the Epic Pass and the Ikon Pass. I'm getting a lot of this information on ski.com. If you just search ski.com Epic versus Ikon, it will go through all the comparisons of all of them, but I'll briefly go through the summary here. So starting with the Epic Pass, each pass is approximately $909. And there are 85 resorts that you can take advantage of with the Epic Pass. And it's not just America that you can go around in, but also Canada, Austria, Switzerland, I think New Zealand, and Japan. So specific to Colorado, there are 5 resorts that you can get unlimited runs in. And those 5 are Vail, Breckenridge, Crested Buttes, Beaver Creek, and Keystone. Now let's go over to the Ikon Pass. For the Ikon Pass, it costs approximately $1,259 for the 2023 and the 2024 winter season. There are 64 resorts total, and you get unlimited access to 15 of them in the US and Canada. And just like the Epic Pass, you also get some free days of riding in New Zealand, Japan, Austria, France, and Switzerland, and I think some other ones. So now you might be thinking, why is there such a big cost difference between the $909 for the Epic Pass and the $1,200-ish for the Ikon Pass? And the biggest difference here is that you get some sweet discounts with the Ikon Pass. For example, you get 25% off of window tickets for your friends and family, 15% off food and beverage at select locations. You also get some deals on lodging as well if you need a place to stay. And what's great about it too is that you get exclusive access to certain mountains for the springtime as well. So both passes come with its pros and cons, but in my opinion, if you were to choose between the two, ask your friends what they're getting and make sure you get the same pass as them. Oftentimes I see friends mismatch their passes, one has Epic and one has Ikon, and you're not able to just enjoy that time with your friends with different resorts that you have unlimited access to. What about you? Are you going to be getting the Ikon Pass or the Epic Pass? I'd love to hear your thoughts on it because honestly, I'm sort of torn between the two. Let me hear it in the comments below. I'd love to see more of it, and whoever wins is the pass that I will get for the 23-24 season. So let's go on to more of the pros, and of course we have to talk about the great outdoors here in Denver. Colorado in general is known for its great outdoor situation and scenery as well. So you got the hikers, you got the backpackers, you got the people who love skiing, snowboarding, mountain biking, rafting. I mean, it's something for everyone here. I'm just going to dig a little bit deeper on the hiking and mountain biking scene because a lot of people just enjoy that scene. So the first one I want to bring up is Mount Falcon. Mount Falcon is only like 30 minutes away from the Denver scene or the city of Denver, and you get some stunning views of the cityscape, and it feels like you're out there, but you're actually not too far. The second one I want to bring up is Apex Trail. It's really great, and it's about 20 minutes away from downtown Denver. It's about 4.3 miles of mountain biking trails, hiking trails, and it has some really challenging steep inclines and also some technical descents. And it's all within a good distance of the Red Rocks Amphitheater. The third park I want to introduce you to is Lair o' the Bear Park. This scenic park is only about 30 minutes away from Denver, and it's like a 1.7 mile loop trail for those walkers or hikers, but also it's like a massive, more advanced technical trail for those ones that just want to do the mountain biking portion of it. And now we have Golden Gate Canyon State Park. It's one of my favorites, especially in the fall time when you got all the evergreen trees with some aspens in there, and the aspens turn color, but the evergreens don't. So you get the yellow sort of like sprinkled in there with the sea of green. It's about an hour west of Denver, and it's like 35 miles of hiking trails. And along with the 35 miles of hiking trails, there's also 20 miles of mountain biking trails. So it's a little bit of a drive, but it definitely is worth it. The last one I want to bring up is the Buffalo Creek Trail, where it's like about an hour and a half southwest of Denver, and it covers almost like 50 miles of trails. The Buffalo Creek Trail system is probably my favorite because it's a little bit more challenging and there's a lot of road for you to take. All in all, there's something for everyone out there. You should definitely go check it out and just enjoy it for yourself. No matter where you go, I think you'll have a good time. The number 3 pro in my book, it's gotta be climate. Comparatively to the rest of the nation, Denver has a really mild and dry winter. After those snow days, let's say you get 2 days of snow, you get like a full day of sunshine, and it feels like the snow melts within 2 days. The unofficial slogan of Colorado being 300 days of sunshine is not really that true. It was merely a ploy to get more people from the east to go more west and settle in Colorado. I think in actuality, it's around 245 days, which is still a pretty good amount if you ask me. And the winters can be cold, but it's generally shorter than the rest of the country, and it just feels like it's just not a wet snow. It feels like a dry snow, and it melts really quickly, like I mentioned before. And the number 4 pro in my book is the food and drink scene. Denver is up and coming on it, and a lot of people that have stayed here for decades now have seen so much new development and so much more influx of people and cultures to really liven up that scene. And you definitely gotta check out the food trucks and the restaurants here because that is to die for. And a lot of these things I actually mentioned in a previous video called the 8 things you need to know before you move to Denver, Colorado. For example, you gotta check out number 38 and its massive food hall with a really cool outdoor venue. Or you could go to Zeppelin Station, which is not too far away from number 38, and enjoy some lobster rolls and urban Colombian food. And there's a ton of other breweries as well, but I think we could cover that on a different video. The last thing that I want to bring up at number 5 in our pros list is the culture of Denver. And to be honest, when I moved here from San Diego, I never felt too far away from home. I can really thank the Denver people for that. I often say that the people of Denver have that sort of West Coast laid-back vibe along with the Midwestern hospitality. It's a really nice mix of people here. And people are often very friendly here, and they just want to chill with you at a local brewery or with a meetup group or go rock climbing or something like that. Now, I don't drink too much these days, but back when I did, I would try out a lot more breweries and see which ones are my favorites. And I think the best part of it is the events. For example, the Rare Steak and Wine Festival, the Chicken Fight Festival where you got fried chicken and whiskey, or even the Top Taco Fest where you got unlimited tacos and you get tequila samples as well. And of course, sparse in between there, the farmers markets and also the beer gardens. Gotta check out everything that Denver has to offer. And if you really want a good sense of what's going on in the Denver scene, you gotta go check out that video like I mentioned earlier, the 8 things you need to know about Denver before moving here. I know this is the second time I brought it up. I just think it's pretty comprehensive and you'll get a better idea of what the culture is like in that video. And now finally onto the cons list. We're gonna go first with the weather, which is different than climate, We're just going to go more specific to weather. And let's just go to the extreme here. We're going to see that like about 2 weeks out of the summer and 2 weeks out of the winter are on the extremes of that spectrum of weather. For example, during the summertime, like there's that 2 weeks where it's like triple digits and not many people want to go outside. And then same with the winter side, you have like 2 weeks where it's like 0 degrees and maybe even in the negatives. And to be fair, it's really not that common. Like I said, it's maybe like 2 weeks out of the season that is really harsh. But honestly, just stay indoors and enjoy a good movie with your friends or something like that. So like I mentioned before, there is a difference between climate and weather. So overall, the climate is very pleasant. It's very dry, very mild compared to the rest of the country. However, when you look at the weather in specific, you got really quick changes of weather. For example, severe thunderstorms coming into hailstorms, and then it turns all sunny, and then the clouds leave, and then they come back. It's almost a mess. Sometimes you will hear people say that if you don't like the Colorado weather, just wait 30 minutes. Which is so true because a lot of things can happen within 30 minutes and all of a sudden you're under rain. And I think the biggest thing is just prepare for it, layer up here. And for the second con, I will have to say that even though the snow is great during the winter season, it's cold. Now, people in the Midwest or New England might disagree, but me coming from San Diego, California, it's definitely something that you have to get used to. You gotta get snow tires. You gotta stay prepared for the stuff, and you don't want to be that stereotypical foreigner coming into the state and not knowing how to drive or not being prepared for this weather. And I have to say that Subarus are like the car of Colorado because it has all-wheel drive and it's just a really reliable car. And for those of you who don't know, all-wheel drive just means that the wheels spin independently of each other. So if one gets some grip, but the other three don't, you can start to maneuver based on that one wheel. I'm not a mechanic, but I feel like that's how it works. The biggest thing here is that black ice, the ice that you can't see, that you can easily slide over, it is not fun whatsoever. Sometimes if it's been snowing for like 24 hours or 48 hours straight, oftentimes I just wait a little bit for that snow to melt. Maybe that's just the California guy in me, but at the same time, you really gotta weigh out the pros and cons. It's like, do I really want to risk going out there and causing a scene or just jeopardizing my safety? I'm not 100% sure. Maybe if it's worth the Top Taco Fest, yes, it's so worth it. And another thing about the cold is that, for example, in the wintertime, if you got cracks in the foundation or in your driveway, water can get in there and then freeze and expand, thus causing the crack to widen and just make things a little bit more unsafe. Perhaps I'm making it a bigger issue than it actually is because it does take years to develop, but it is something to consider over time. The last thing I want to bring up about the winter time and the snow season and that sort of con aspect of it is the north-facing home versus the south-facing home. So for example, a north-facing home, because of the geographic location of Denver and the tilt of the axis, a lot more astronomy goes into it. North-facing homes get a lot more shade during the wintertime. And with a lot more shade coming in during the wintertime, that means snow can stay on the front lawn of those north-facing homes. So I would highly recommend looking at south-facing homes, assuming that your front lawn or the driveway is of importance to you. But for example, if you wanted to have the backyard melted as soon as possible, have it south-facing and have the front north-facing instead. That way, the sun can point at it and melt it as soon as possible. If it stays in the shade, the ice and snow just stay longer. All right, so the third con that I want to bring up here is traffic. I'll be honest, I'm really stoked for the restaurants and breweries and the influx of people coming in, but the thing is that Denver was not prepared for all these people coming in. So we have two major freeways. We have the 25 going north and south, and then we also have the 70 going east and west, and it goes through the mountains in the west. Also, we have the 36 going from Denver to Boulder as well, but there's a lot of nuances behind it. But compared to, let's say, San Diego, you got a lot of major freeways from like the 805, 52, 15, the 5, 101, 76. I mean, there's so many more options over there. I mean, granted, I'm one of the people that have moved over here and I can see how it's starting to build up a little bit more, which I am a huge proponent of using public transportation or walking a lot. But nonetheless, traffic is here and I don't find it to go anywhere else in the near future. One last thing I'll say about traffic is that compared to California, it is laughable. Traffic in California and San Diego in general, it's a lot more hectic and you have to work around it. Over in Denver, it's actually not that bad. I would say that it adds maybe 15 minutes to your overall drive, but I've gone through stop and go traffic over in San Diego, and this is definitely nothing to compare to. And con number 3.5, or if you want to call it 4, is that Denver has a lot of crazy drivers, in my opinion. With Colorado so central and attractive to a lot of people that want to come into the Denver scene, you're just going to attract a lot of different kinds of drivers. So in a way, I kind of prefer the California driving just because everyone goes above the speed limit. There's not too many variable differences between the different types of drivers on the road. So let's say, for example, the people in the Midwest come to Denver and they're driving below the speed limit because they're just chill like that. Versus the Texans, they always got to be somewhere, and so they're always weaving in and out of traffic. And like I said earlier, Californians are always going above the speed limit. And in my opinion, like, Coloradans are just way too nice on the road. For example, let's say the Coloradan is driving on the freeway already and you're trying to merge in. They will slow down so that you can go in front of them, even though they have the right of way. It's like, come on, just go with the flow. With that being said, I want to say that, like, the city is really not that hectic in regards to that, but I would say definitely put a pin on it when you're going through the mountains. Because with the mountains, there's a lot more variability and the weather can change in an instant. So overall, just be a defensive driver, buckle up, get some snow tires, and be well prepared for it. And con number 5, in my opinion, is the real estate market is competitive here. And just to look at a snapshot of the real estate market, as of April of 2023, the houses that are priced right and a great location, they are flying off the shelves. And with more people coming into the Denver area, more people want to find a place to live, assuming they want to stay for longer than a month or so. So there's a lot more renters, there's a lot more buyers, and Denver just needs to keep up with the inventory here. Inventory is the main bottleneck here in Denver. And when you have a lot of demand and really low supply, the house prices go up. Now, I made a video not too long ago called The Cost of Living in Denver, and you can go reference that video here, but I'll just summarize the point here in this video. So let's talk about the cost of living index here in the Denver area and see how that relates to the real estate market and how that might compare to your market right now. So let's go through the cost of living index, and what that means is the cost of living index looks at the cost of living in a particular area compared to the rest of the nation. And so the national average is at 100. So anything above 100 costs more than the national average, and anything below 100 costs less than the national average. So to bring Denver into the scene, the housing cost of index in Denver is 184.3. So to give an example, median home price here in Denver is approximately $576,000 versus the rest of the nation is about $330,000. And as I mentioned before, it's all due to the lack of inventory. With a whole bunch of people moving in, more demand comes up, but the supply just can't match that demand. Nonetheless, in this competitive market, I navigate the real estate scene like a backcountry skier that's been doing it for 20 years. I'm still closing a lot of deals with my buyers, and I get my sellers top dollar here in the Denver area. So if you're interested in working with me, make sure you shoot me a text, an email, or call me. I'm one of the few millennials that enjoy calls these days, so feel free to pick up that phone and hear my voice. I'd love to hear from you, or even set up an appointment for a Zoom call via Calendly. All of my contact information is down in the description below, and I'm really excited to hear from you. And there you have it, folks, the list of the 5 pros and 5 cons of living in Denver. Streamed from someone who is actively working and keeping the pulse on the market in the greater Denver area. Overall, Denver has a lot to offer you, and for me in particular, I don't see myself living anywhere else in the near future. And honestly, I've been having the time of my life living here. But as with any city, it has its upsides and downsides. And ultimately, living in Denver is up to you, your personal preferences, and how you feel about that whole lifestyle of Denver. If you wanted my personal opinion on things, or just want my insight on the market or things like that, feel free to hit me up. All my contact information is in the description below. Really excited to hear from you. Thanks for tuning into the video. I'll see you guys next week. And if you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a comment, like, subscribe, and all of that good stuff. And what's one thing that's really drawing you to Denver? I'd really love to hear that. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys next week.